This is what I call my shop. Nothing fancy. This is my basement. Um, it's dirty, like every other basement. It's just filthy. I come down here. Like I said, I like to build stuff and recreate stuff that I like. One of the things that I'm trying to recreate. So I saw this camper trailer teardrop. Um, I made one already, and I'm making another one. I didn't record none of the build because I started this back in November, and I have it in my garage, partly assembled, and I'm still working on some stuff. At the end of when I'm done building it, then I'll post a video of the build. I'm gonna start with this. This is my table saw. So this table saw is from Harbor Freight. It's a terrible table saw. I've damaged more wood with this piece of equipment than anything else. I built this table around it because I saw somebody build this to extend um, the table saw in order for me to be able to cut larger pieces of plywood. And unfortunately, the fence for this is terrible. Um, it's terrible. I can't afford a cabinet saw, but for now, this is gonna have to do. Like I said, it's Harbor Freight, and I've been able to to do some decent cuts, but most of the time, it takes a ton of time. So to measure things, I have to measure from here to to the blade all the time and make sure that it's square. And it's basically a cheap saw. I bought it at a pawn shop. I think I paid like $45 for it. Harbor Freight, they're like $100. The pawn shop, bought nothing fancy, and the table that I built for it, and it might be square, it might not be square. This is some of the wood that I've either used for my teardrop. Behind it, there's like a template for a teardrop that I was building. You can see the shape, but somehow up there, I screwed it up, so it's no longer useful for me. So I got to cut the wood and use it for other stuff. Then one of the most expensive pieces of equipment that I bought was this table saw, my ORB table saw, and I built this extension, well, at least on that side, in order for me to be able to use full length or put full length pieces of wood to cut them. I haven't built that side yet. I built that side, but I got to remove that from there because I have dust all over the doggone place, and unfortunately, dust in the basements, it's almost impossible to keep out. So these are the cabinet frames that I've made for the camper, and I've made four of them. Three are for the trailer, and that one is for a box that I built for some of my tools, and I was able to make that with simple tools. This is my router. As you can see, not a fancy router. I bought this again at a pawn shop. Can't remember how much I paid for it. It was cheap. It's unstable. Cheap table that I found here in the basement when I moved in. And it works. I mean, it's not the best. I'm not gonna, create the best, molds and, best things with these routers, but it is what it is. That's what I have. See, there's some of the tools. Again, basic tools. My saw, like shop saw that I use for most of the time. I use for welding. Like I said, I do some welding. The Craig jigs. This is my tool of choice. I have this to rip my panels in half. It's called a rip cut, I think it is. I bought that a long time ago. This I bought the cabinet hardware jig in order to place the handles where they go. This is to put the soft close hinges on the cabinets, and I bought this at Home Depot along with everything else. That's the Craig jig screws, which is one of the best tools that I that I have, I use to make cabinets, to make drawer boxes, to make cabinets themselves. My welder, cheap welder, well, kind of cheap welder, to Lincoln MIG welder. I use that to tinker around to weld down here. Some of the I've made a fire pit and some other stuff along with it. Measuring tools that I have here, nothing fancy again. This is a sheet rocking square that I use. This is another measuring tool that I have. Levelers. Some of those clamps are, this is for the Kreg jig. This is when I make the boxes. This holds the screws together. So this basically comes in here, and this is part of the Kreg system. It holds here, and then you can clamp this so this stays together while I'm putting the screws in. Great tool. Clamps, all cheap clamps, off from Harbor Freight. Different size clamps. I should have more clamps. Don't know where the hell they are. They're somewhere in the basement. Exactly, don't know because, like I said, I'm cleaning. Tape measures as usual. And this is my router stuff. So router bits, again, I bought this at the pawn shop. I don't know how much I paid for that. This kit right here, that's the first kit that I bought. And I've done a lot of things with this little thing. I bought this at Harbor Freight many years ago. And these bits are the most expensive bits that I bought. I didn't know that Diablo tools or Diablo bits were, I think I bought 3 bits. I have this one, these 3. And these 3 bits cost me more than this set and this set put together. I bought this to help me build my camper. Router, palm router or hand router. Again, cheap Harbor Freight. I've had this many years. I bought that before I bought that one, and I use that one more than I use the other one because the other one, it's okay, but whatever. Drill bits, I bought at Harbor Freight. Arbor bits, I used them twice, and I bought those online. I can't remember where I bought them. This palm sander, used. And I think I spent more paper on this crap because I need to replace the pad. I haven't done it in a long time. So I got this. It's a Ryobi, and that's what I use to do all the sanding. One of the expensive tools that I have is this joiner, which I did not buy. One of my co-workers, Robert Kine, gave that to me. I've used it a bunch of times. It's a great tool to have. If it wasn't given to me, I wouldn't have bought one because first and foremost, I couldn't afford it. What else? Oh, so I have this bandsaw. So this bandsaw, it's a Ryobi. I bought this in Florida. And when I bought it, all the pieces were together. I bought it at a thrift shop. No, at a flea market. So when I bought it, it was in the box and all the parts were there. I ran around to get my car. I put the box in the car. When I got back home, I opened the box and whoever sold it to me decided to steal the platform that goes there. So I haven't used it yet because I got to sort out this part, buy a new one, or either figure out how to make one. This cabinet I made for a friend of mine. He hasn't picked it up, so unfortunately, now I got tools in it. I got another router down there, and some of the Kreg stuff that I have here. And in here, like I said, my coffee maker. I like coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. And some of the other tools. I have a blades for my saw, and a couple more arbor bits, some spray stuff, and some other things. Like I said, nothing expensive. Everything here that I have is cheap. And I've made some pretty cool stuff with it. Like I said, I'm making those door frames, and I'm making the doors for them after I install that on my camper. And I have the doors. I have here. I have um, some cuts to make the doors with it, along with some 8-inch plywood that I have here to make the inserts for the door, which I'm gonna make some simple shaker doors with it. Nothing fancy. Like I said, this is my basement. This is another welder that I have here, and it's just basic tools. I got a stick welder. Sometimes I like to, like I said, I like to build stuff. So nothing fancy. Everything is cheap, but it has worked for me. So those are my tools. Like I said, this is gonna be the first video that I post, just showing you guys that I don't have nothing fancy. Everything that I have is cheap, from the pawn shop, from the thrift shop, or it has been given to me. So, I'm gonna try to build some cool stuff and show you that if I can build it with some cheap, you don't need nothing fancy, to create, good things. So if I can do it, you guys can do it also. So thanks for watching this, and like I said, I'll keep you guys posted. I'll be posting some videos maybe next week. So thanks again, guys, and ciao, hasta luego.